Hey everybody, today's experiment is going to be using a nice sharp X-Acto knife, a balloon, I hope you have a balloon, some tape, some sticky tape, this is hockey tape, and a plate. So let's get started. Your first task is to fill your balloon. So hopefully you have a sink with a tap end like that. It's nice and easy to stretch the balloon lip over top. You're going to want to fill it and support it as it's filling, because if you just let it go, it'll end up pulling off the spigot. So just kind of support it there like that as it's filling up. You should be able to fit as much water in there as you would air. And this is a pretty big balloon, so I'm going to put quite a bit of water in there. That's probably enough for now. Turn it off, then pull the end off. It'll make lots less mess. Then tie it however you're going to tie it. Now the reason I have a plate there is because then it will sit still when you're trying to work with it instead of rolling around on the counter. Now you're going to want to make sure that the surface of the balloon is nice and dry when you add your tape. It doesn't matter where you put your tape, but just be away from the end of the balloon. So now, carefully tear off strips of tape, and what you're doing is you're going to make a tiny box. So there's my tiny square. Make it tiny, because if you don't make it tiny, it'll just rip straight across whatever your tiny square is. If it's a little bit bigger, then it'll rip right across, and then too much water will come out and you won't get the cool effect that you're about to see. So I'm being very careful to make sure that the tape is pushed down all around my little box of exposed balloon. Now carry it over to another sink. Alright, so we're ready. I've got a nice long sink here, double sink, so that when the arc goes from the balloon, then it will go into the sink and not onto the counter. That'll be happy. Alright, so put it in an orientation like this where you've got it on a bit of an angle, so when I do poke that hole, it's going to make a bit of an arc there. And it will sit still. That's why I have the plate, so it kind of sits still and it won't roll out off of over on the counter. Okay, so take your X-Acto knife. The reason you use an X-Acto knife is because it's nice and sharp. It's got a nice sharp tip on it. And I'm going to cut my hole. And look at that shape. It looks like it's made of plastic or glass. Now that is called a laminar flow. Right there, it's hardly moving at all. And laminar means that it is flowing in parallel lines. This is turbulent flow, and you can see that it is like that, but this is called laminar flow, and it looks like it's perfectly still. The camera would just focus on that right there. There we go. It's so crazy how it's got a thin and then a thick part, and it kind of keeps that pattern. Thin part, thick part, thin part, thick part. It's just so crazy. Just for fun, I've tried it with a Ziploc in case you don't have a balloon at home. And what I did was I filled up a Ziploc and set it so that the corner is where my fingers are. And then I have just clipped the corner off quickly. And it does, actually, in my opinion, almost a bit of a better laminar flow because it looks like it's not moving. There, it looks like it's made out of glass. That is awesome. So again, like the thick, thin, but now it's not even really sparkling. I can see a little bit of sparkle right in there, but up here, it looks like it's made out of plastic.